Hi, thanks for coming to the channel. I'm essentially trying to like rebrand at least my YouTube channel a little bit. I'm still gonna stick a lot with the gaming content and all that kind of stuff, but I want to kind of start to shift into a topic I'm kind of passionate about. Now, this topic is something I wanted to talk about for like a little while, but I just didn't because I don't know, maybe I'm lazy. It could be. Right. I don't know. Maybe I was nervous that nobody would like it. Then I went, you know what? I don't care. No one likes my other videos, so I might as well just have a good time. Because I feel like people have become a little bit overcritical when it comes to TV shows and movies and rating them, especially like I've been watching a lot of channels that do the whole like, oh, let's critique Moana or let's critique Wish. Now, Wish was bad. That really was. That was a dumpster fire, wasn't it? I tried to watch it and I couldn't get through it at all. That was bad, right? But I've just noticed that people have become more critical over movies and TV shows, especially like in recent times, right? People are just every time that something isn't literally perfect, they're like jumping on it. Like, "Oh my gosh, it wasn't Oscar worthy or it wasn't perfect." Okay. Like come on, man. So what it wasn't perfect? Who cares? It was fine. It was entertaining. It was good to an extent. There are some things that are generally bad, like Wish, right? But there are a lot of things that I feel like the average person and average people would just enjoy, right? Would just think is fun or just enjoy or just think, okay, that was entertaining and that's good enough. Like if a movie's entertaining and a movie has people who enjoy it, who cares if it was perfect or not? Like why does it have to be an Oscar worthy movie for people to enjoy it or for it to be good, right? And the one I'm going to be talking, the show I'm going to be talking about today will be Arcane season 2, right? Because when it first came out, I was seeing videos of people being like, "Oh, it was kind of good, whatever," and I was like, "Yeah, because it was, right?" But then I started seeing a lot more people going, "Oh, Arcane, it's so bad, and all these things, it's the worst thing I've ever seen." When I saw someone genuinely say that, and I was like, "Okay, bro, sit back. Like, it's not that serious, babe." I was like, it's not that serious. Chill, dude. Don't be so aggressive. Was far, far from. It was definitely no season one. Season one was amazing. It had a lot of really perfect stuff with a few things that weren't great, right? Like Marcus. Well, I mean, I remember his name, so I guess he wasn't that bad, right? I essentially have this like little meter in my personal brain. If I cannot remember the character or creature's name, it wasn't that good. Okay? That's how I do it. I'm like, it wasn't that good if I can't remember the creature or person's name. But in Arcane, right, even though it wasn't amazing and there was definitely issues, like for instance, I will definitely point out one issue with Caitlyn and that girl. Don't remember her name. See? Not memorable. Doesn't matter, right? She wasn't memorable. She wasn't necessary. Now, you could have literally picked any soldier to betray Caitlyn, and it would have worked out the exact same way it worked with that girl, right? You could have done that with literally anybody. You didn't have to have the girls shagging her for, it to work. It could have been anybody, because Caitlyn would have been like, oh no, one of my soldiers on my side, they betrayed me because it's Caitlyn. She's trusting. Like, what are you talking about? She would have believed that for anybody. There's nothing wrong with the fact that she's a touch sheltered, even in season 2, right? But you could use to your advantage to not need to create story for yet another character. You could have it be freaking anybody and it wouldn't have mattered. It's not an important thing. Yeah, that's the only part of the whole part of the season that I am like super hard set on is that, or the fact that you could have not focused on Vi as much. But I will go against one thing I did see when it came to Vi. And somebody said that Vi's reaction in season 2, where she kind of just falls apart and all that stuff, it's not realistic. It's not what Vi would have done. But yes, it would. Like, think about this realistically, right? Realistically, let's take that concept back a few paces. And let's say that she has put herself, she's been in jail in Stillwater for however long she was there, right? But we know it was a number of years, right? And all that kept her going, all that she thought about, literally the thing that she became obsessed with was reuniting with her sister Powder, right? She became literally obsessed with reuniting with Powder, things going back to the way they were in the olden days, her and Powder skipping off into the distance and into the sunset, and everything will be perfectly fine and back to the way it used to be. And she was so hell bent on that being the reality, she could not accept any other reality happening. So when another reality did indeed end up happening, which we see her fight for in season 1, where she outright says she cannot accept what reality currently is by constantly trying to make Jinx into Powder, which even Jinx knows isn't reality and cannot happen because she just doesn't exist anymore, right? And so when you have that kind of a reality, when you try to get to a goal, like very much get there, and it just kind of doesn't pan out, what do people usually do? People usually, I don't know, do this really weird thing and they kind of crash out, man. Yeah, like they kind of crash out like she does in that show. And it doesn't really matter. Right? I mean it does. Stop. But she kind of like crashes out in the show, right? Which is something that would happen in real life when reality that you've set your heart on for so long and literally became obsessed with doesn't end up panning out, right? And I would definitely say that, that wasn't a bad thing. All I would have said is not to focus on Vi so heavily and Vi as part of the story as much. I would have definitely said focus on Jinxes and Echoes, especially Echo, man. That would have been fun to sit around for longer with, wouldn't it? But that's going to get past all of the bad, not so great parts of the Arcane season 2, right? Now let's get to some of the better parts of Arcane season 2. And we're going to start with memorable characters because we're already kind of there, right? And who was a memorable character in season 2 who is new, who everybody knows, and even I freaking know their name, even though I believe their name was only said once in the entire season, which, by the way, impressive that I know that. Yeah. Okay, which is Isha. Isha, the little girl that Jinx ends up being with, which, by the way, Caitlyn is with the other girl, whoever the heck her face's name is, the entire freaking time in the series, and we don't even know her name. I don't even remember it. Not even a little bit, right? But Isha, which we spent like just as much time with, I know her name so easily, which shows how important Isha was to the story. And everybody loved Isha. Like, she progressed Jinx's personality and her personal character development so far in the series, showing Jinx that she can be so much more than just some weapon of destruction, right? Showing her that she can do more with her life if she so desired, right? Which eventually Isha ended up dying and Jinx kind of reverted a little bit, but who wouldn't? She was grieving and upset, and she kind of lost a massive new perspective on life when Isha passed away, right? And in a weird way, Isha is literally everything Jinx wasn't when she was Powder, right? And that's partially what she's supposed to like. She's supposed to be a parallel between Powder, right? Everything that she does is very similar to Powder, and she looks up to her big sister, but she doesn't rely on her. Like, she loves Jinx, but she doesn't necessarily need her. She just likes being around her. She really loves being around her. You know what I mean? She would love to spend more time with her, but she doesn't have the same level of attachment that Powder had with Vi, right? When they were children. And that is partially that's one parallel between her and Jinx that go really well together, right? And then the biggest parallel between her and Jinx was that she created a weapon, overpowered, right? But for her, it worked, and instead of hurting other people, it just hurt her, right? Which is the two biggest parallels between her and Jinx, right? Her and Powder, right? Is that whole thing. And by the way, it was good. Like I was invested when Isha died. I was like kind of upset and kind of like no, but also like yes because the parallels were so good, and I was like this has to happen, but I don't want it to happen, but it's so good. Like that was nice. I liked it, and it's a scene that I watch more than once because it was good, man. I enjoyed it. Depressing, sure. Enjoyed it though. It was a good depression, okay? It was memorable and it was nice. And it led well into season two. In not season two. Arc 3. And another part of Arcane in season 2 that was great was Echo and Jinx. Their parallel, right? The parallel of what could have been. If you remember rightly, in season 1, at the very end, we had this song where before Jinx fires her shark guy, Frick, I really forgot what his name, Fishbones. Whew! I was gonna say, I know this. It's on the tip of my tongue. You've got this. It's Fishbones. Yeah, she fires Fishbones. Right? I'm pretty sure it's what's called. Um, there's a song that's playing, and one of the lyrics in the song, "What Could Have Been," was part of the lyrics. And I love that in season 2, they took that lyric in the song and literally made that a thing. They were like, yeah, what could have been? Let's follow that. And we see Echo and Powder, right? And what could have been if things had gone differently, if instead Vi had died, right? And the hex gates weren't invented, and all this stuff wasn't made, and hex tech didn't exist, right? What could life have been? Echo learning how to both appreciate what could have been in life, but also still going back to what is for him, right? It's such a good little part of the show, right? And also seeing him with Powder was just so nice, right? It was just so nice to see him enjoy time with Powder in a timeline where he can just enjoy his life with her for a little while, right? And it was fun to watch them try to create, the hex stuff, and all of it was entertaining. I enjoyed it. I was entertained. Are you not entertained? Oh gosh, I love that movie. Gladiator. Okay, back to Arcane. And yeah, and also the songs, man, the songs were good. Like in no way could you tell me that the songs were bad, okay? Like almost every time I saw one of those stupid songs come on, they're just great. Like the one where Jinx pops in at the war, that song's awesome. The one with Echo and Powder, where they dance that little party thing. People play that song all the time because it's awesome. The song where Jinx and Savika team up, that's a great song, right? There's so many good songs in this series. Oh, when Isha sacrifices herself, that one's great. It's kind of like, it's not like a song, I guess it's more like a sound, but that's also good. The sound design was amazing and beautiful, and you did a great job. And of course, you're gonna be like, oh, you're not really talking about Jace all that much. And yeah, I'm not. But here's the thing. Here's what Jace was in season 2. Jace was a means to an end. They needed season 2 to have something that pushed it forward a little bit more than just with Echo. That's something that pushed forward the main overarching doomsday whatever is gonna happen. They needed something, right? And it clearly wasn't gonna be Victor because Victor wasn't crazy enough yet. He was getting there, but he wasn't there just yet. He needed a little bit of a shove, right? And this was the shove he needed. Jace was mostly there to keep the plot going and to keep you from getting bored or going, okay, wait, where is this going? Wait, what is happening? Right? It was to keep the plot moving, and that's not a bad thing. You know what I mean? Jace was there for a reason. He still had a purpose. He still had a reason. He was moving the plot forward. And that's why I'm not really talking about him too much, because that's what he was there for. He did a good job. I felt for him when he was in that weird dimension thing where he saw what the future could be. That was a nice little foreshadowing thing. I liked that Victor was the little shadow guy that when he was a kid and lost and gave him the little rune thing. I loved that. That was cute. Cute. Adorable. Lovely. It's looking so good. Ah, I have holes. Dang it. Man. Every time I knit, I get holes. I try not to, but then I get distracted. Give me 2 seconds. Hello? Hello? Okay. Whatever. Fuck it. Where was I? Yeah. Oh, yeah, knitting. Jace. Whatever. But yeah, Jace was fine. But I feel like the biggest reason why people are overly critical, biggest part of it is that it was hyped up a lot, right? It was almost a like 2 year wait, or it was a 2 year wait, I can't really remember. For Arcane season 2, and people hyped it up a lot, right? With their own personal headcanons and all these things, and constantly waiting for it. Like, people were rewatching Arcane like 10, 15 times, right? Till because like they loved it that much. And when you have a series that people love to that extent, it's very difficult to get this all the other seasons or even just the second season to be just as good as the first when people hype it up like they did, right? And I don't think that season 2 is as good as season 1, but I definitely think that the biggest reason why people don't like season 2 is because they overhyped it a lot. I mean, they just were so excited and so invested and so interested that when they saw it, they were like, oh, I'm not as happy with this or not as happy with that or whatever, because in their mind, it should have gone differently. It should have been different. But you've been obsessing over it for like years now, and like giving it glowing reviews and loving it. And some people made like some channels. By the way, this is not a bad thing, but I'm just saying, like, a lot of channels made like tons and tons of videos on Arcane over the years, and that's not a bad thing, but it makes sense why so many people and so many channels are having issues with things like Arcane. It's overly hyped. You were overly excited. You had so much expectations, but the reality is the studio can only do so much. Because there was nothing truly awful about Arcane. I would dare to say it was good, right? Arcane was definitely good. It was far from bad. And I think that's just the reality. It was good. It wasn't amazing, spectacular, and perfect like the first one, but it doesn't have to be. Why does it have to be literally perfect in every way for it to be good? Why can't it just be good? I wasn't watching it like I was watching Disney's Wish, going, oh my gosh, when will this movie end? Right? Like, I wasn't doing that. So clearly, it was entertaining, and I was invested and interested. In my opinion, whenever you hear views and stuff about movies or TV shows, I feel like you should just watch it yourself and decide for yourself whether you like it or not. Because just because 10 other people on YouTube didn't like it doesn't mean that you won't, right? Like, there are probably there's plenty of movies out there that I'm sure you enjoy and everyone else in the world hates, right? So just, you know, keep trudging. Well, I'm going to leave that there for today. And yeah, no person's opinion. See you guys.